Yeshus, Moronon, Rabbonon, Doile HaTorah, Chaburois, Elohim de Dirshu, Kvoi Didi, Rav Agoin, Reb David, Hofster Shlita, B'chol HaKol HaKodesh Hazeh. The Gemara in Tainus, Daf Chof Aleph, tells us the story of Ilfa and Rabbi Yochanan. It was as Ilfa and Rabbi Yochanan were learning Torah in Beis Medrash, with the Chikel at Milsa Tuva. And they didn't have Parnosa, they couldn't afford it. Omru, they said, Nazel, Venevan, Iske, we'll go, and we'll go down into the business world. V'nikayim menavshin, Efes Kaliyah b'cho'evyin. We'll go out and we'll make Parnosa. And they left the Beis Medrash and they went, the Gemara says, Yosvu, Tachas, they went and they sat down, Tachas Gduda, they sat down under a fence that was shvach. And they heard two malachim speaking, the Gemara says. And one malach said to the other, let's go, Nishde alayo haiguda, let's throw down this fence on them and kill them, benaktelinu. Shemanichim chayoylam oiskim b'chayishor, they left the Beis Medrash, they left chayoylam, they went to be oisik in Parnosa. And Rabbi Yochanan heard what the malachim said, and he said to Ilfa, did you hear what they said? Did you hear anything? And Ilfa says, no, I didn't hear anything. So he said, Rabbi Yochanan said, Shema mino, if I heard and Ilfa didn't hear, Lididi kaim mishtaitem in the Shemayim, they're telling me to go back to the Beis Medrash, and I'll be zoicha. Lididi kaim mishtaitem. And the Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan went back to the Beis Medrash, and Ilfa did not go back to the Beis Medrash. And when Yochanan came back to the Beis Medrash, they were manning him the Rosh Yeshiva. And when Ilfa came back, they told Ilfa, if you would have stayed in Beis Medrash like Rabbi Yochanan, we would have made you the Rosh Yeshiva. And the Gemara says that Ilfa went up on the top of a ship, told her, Nafshe be'iske de svinter. Omer, he said, Ike de shoyli me masnisa de Rabchia v'Raboishe v'lo pashtina me masnisim, nafilo me iske de svinter betavana. Anybody has any shayla, come and ask me. If I'm not positive from a Mishnah, I'll jump from the top of the mast and I'll kill myself. And Rashi says that what he was telling them was, he says, if I would have stayed, Afagav the Ovdi Iske, even I went into business world, V'garisna no tfeinine, I still know more than Rabbi Yochanan. I'm a bigger godel than Rabbi Yochanan. You made Rabbi Yochanan Rosh Yeshiva. I'm a bigger godel b'Torah than him. But we see from the Gemara that that's not the anhoga by the Rebbeinu. Why is it that Rabbi Yochanan heard the malachim and Ilfa didn't hear? If Ilfa was a bigger godel b'Torah, even after he went into the business world, why didn't he hear the malachim? He would have heard the malachim. He would have gone back. I believe that the answer to the question is something that I heard when Besol Ala Weintraub, the Chetzadik Levrocha, he said, godless or Odom is not totally in how much Torah he knows. Greatness of a person is not how much Torah he knows, how many hours he learns. It's how much he's machshiv the Torah, how much the Torah is part of his life. That person that the Torah is more part of his life, that person is Godel b'Torah. And his raya was from the Ran in the Durham that the Gemara says, I'm of the Haaretz. The Ran says that the Be'etzim and Klal Yisrael were oisik b'Torah Tomid. No one could find the Chesorin in Klal Yisrael. The Rebbeinu says, I saw there was something in Klal Yisrael, shelo yichshivu zok the Ran. They weren't machshiv Torah enough to make a bracha, and that's why the Churban came. This concept that godless or Odom is not totally in how much Torah he knows, but in how much the Torah is part of him, how much the achshava of Torah is. Rabbi Yochanan the Medrash says in Shir Hashirim, on the pasuk of Mayim Rabim Lo Yuchel L'Chabas HaSahava, Rabbi Yochanan was once walking together with Rabbi Chia, and he came by a house, and he said, this house used to belong to me, and I sold it in order I should be able to learn Torah. He said, this kerem was mine. I sold it in order to be Osek b'Torah. And he went through common things that he sold in order to be Osek b'Torah. Rabbi Chia said to him, so what did you leave for your old age? You left yourself nothing. And Rabbi Yochanan said back to Rabbi Chia, he says, by you. What did I sold? I sold my house. I sold a kerem, something that the Baruch Hashem made in 6 days. For Torah, that the Baruch Hashem took 40 days to give to Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Gemara says that when Rabbi Yochanan was nifted, the Medrash says, they said on Rabbi Yochanan, Im yite in Yisrael kol beisoi v'ahava. So Rabbi Yochanan all was a Torah boizu loi. Rabbi Yochanan was the biggest oyev Torah. He gave away everything that he had for Torah. That's why Rabbi Yochanan heard, and Ilfa didn't hear. Rabbi Yochanan was moiser nafshoi for avas ha-Torah. He gave everything away for Torah. Today was Dal Oder. It was a yortzeit. The Yasser tells the yeshiva, Rabbi Lezer Gordon, who's a Zayda Zecher Tzadik Levrocha. He was nifted Dal Oder in London. This psak, that godless b'Torah, and not telling how much Torah you know, but how much Avos Torah you have. Reb Chaim Brisker Paskin, Reb Chaim Brisker made a chasana for one of his children. Kol G'day Loylam were there. And it was Mechaber Reb Lezer, who was at that time mamash from the younger. He was Mechaber Reb Lezer with Seder Kedushin. It was a double pella. Why did he give Reb Lezer Seder Kedushin? It was G'day Loylam there. And Reb Chaim said, because in Avos HaTorah, Reb Lezer is the Godel Adon. Avos HaTorah was kaveya by Reb Chaim that he should give him Seder Kedushin. Lezer tells, he used to say on himself, when I heard about Torah, it becomes like a shikr. If a shikr, when I heard about Torah, there's a story, what's the story there? When he before tells, when he came with Slabotka, here to Bochum, and a Beis Medrash, they were having a silent learning, and he had a terrace to tell them, he went to the door, he couldn't get in, so he climbed through a window. Avos HaTorah, Chaim Paskin, Avos HaTorah, come see the Kedusha. How does a person get Avos HaTorah? How did he get Mesikas HaTorah? I'll say over just a few words. When Sefer Menucha Kedusha from B'Sor Lisa Ponovich writes a Moed de Gazach, he says, we find there's a lot of people, he says, Maisim B'chol Yoim. He says, we see it. Loim de Merubim. There's people, a lot of people that learn Torah. But to Amer Moatim. But the people are Toyim, the Mesikas of Torah, Vinsik. Asibo Zokta why? Shein Mizdabik le Torah Beis Limudikim begufoi, veloy benafshoy. He learned with sein Guf, but not with his nefesh. Oy afilu benafshoy. You learn with his nefesh. Veloy bavur avosa. Not because he loves the Torah. Hot an ander cheshbon. He waits the nefesh. Hot time. Gam Torah in shechenes boy kim begufoi veloy benafsho. Torah is not just a stama, a chepzer, it's not just a chepzer from a mitzvah. Torah is a mitzias. Torah has a mahus. Aharon talks about a mishnah of Aharon. Torah, tvias, or talboinus, it can go and tiny to the boinus, it has feelings, it has regosha. The way we treat Torah, that's how Torah treats to us. So he says, if a person learns Torah with not mishum nafsh, not with his mysterious nefesh, fil avosa, the Torah is going to go to him only begufa v'loy benafsha. Ani oyavai ehov. The ones who love me, those are the ones that I love, and I'll give them Torah. Zokta b'Yisrael Lisa, the pshat we say in David HaMelech said the Torah is mitzukim midvash. Nachnodim mizov mipozov u'mitzukim midvash v'noy fesufim zokta b'Yisrael Lisa. To who was the Torah? Mesukim midvash, that a person that's nemchmodim loy mizov mipozrov. Rabbi Yochanan was ready to give away al's din for Torah, so he was zoicher to the mesikas from Torah. Then the Torah comes to him, ani yohavai Yehov. There's a Moed de Gemaisa with Rabbi Yashiv Zechon Levrocha. You do that. He was very mekushah to the Churvashul. He said the Churvashul given by him a ganze Sache. He asked him why. So he said, one part that you do, and the second part's not so you do. It was a famous Meise that one time Yosel Rosenblatt came there, they were mechaber him to have a Shabbos in Churvashul. And the Yashiv, to lieb God Chazonis. He pushed it, he had a noah from Chazonis. And he told that he was on his way. He decided he's going to go here, Yosel Rosenblatt, Shabbos, and he was on his way, left Beishorim, and he was on his way to go to the Churvashul to him. And in the middle he gave a chapsach. What's tue ich da? Ja, I'm going away, ich gehe weg. So here, at the Heuben Chazonis. Ich went from lernen auf dem, and he turned around in the middle and he went back. The second part of the mice is, Rabbi Yashiv he said after that, may Oz, after that mice, kibalti mesikus ugvishmach belimud ha-Torah sheni mesugal harpes mimena. Als hat sich abgegeben, b'shvil avos ha-Torah, ani ohavai Yehov, the ones who love me, ich zol ze yopet. The Blazer tells her, was zoichet to avos ha-Torah. I heard it from Rameir Soloveitchik. I once went to him and I asked him, Shaila, how to give a name of a child. If you have Zaydas, so I'm going to give it Anonta, to Anonta Zayda, or Alelta Zayda. So he asked me, who are we talking about? So I told him, and it tells him, Baba Yitzchak Zaychal Brochas, when we play. No, so first he said, was a given after the nuns. I've given that. Abdiskis also have this island, he says, was a given after nonta. So, and then he said, remember that. So I told him, that's thinking about Baba Yitzchak, Yosef Leib, Reb Lezer. He says, Reb Lezer, das given nom nach Reb Lezer. I said to him, you just told me, mit darf given an Nomen noch den Nonte. Sagt mir, Reb Lezer soll alle koil. Reb Lezer, the other thing Gracer, hat mir gesagt, echt erzählen. As the Blazer was mechabed, he said, not mechabed, he wanted that Reb Chaim Brisker should come to Rosh Yeshiva and tell, so he sent him a letter, and he offered to get back to Zion Rosh Yeshiva. And Chaim didn't answer back, so Blazer sent him back another letter. He said he was choshed that the reason why was because in Gebach Rosh Yeshiva, and I didn't give it Rabbonos in Stott. So he wrote him a letter, ich gebe ihm the Rabbonos eichet. But he gave it also weg. Von Teure. Sagt der Blazer, das ist Oila alav koil. Avos ha-Teure, chashivas ha-Teure. Ani oyavai ehov. The ones who are oyev oisi. Those are the ones who are chablim. So I thought to say, Bekitzer, Rabbi Abramsky used to say Shuas by night. Every word to sagt, was a nipshat, but the jargon from them, the klang from them, the word is them. He says he was going on a train in Russia during the World War I, and he found a sefer, and he saw this word in the sefer. He sagt, it's nicht pshat, but the jargon is emes. He told it over to Reb Chaim. After I saw a word in a sefer, it's nicht pshat. The jargon is emes. And Reb Chaim hat a sefer noch gehabt, that he said over to Abramsky schwer, the word, und ich habe lieb, also wie hat gesagt, nicht pshat, und the jargon is emes. Was ist the word? The Apostle state was coming by the Meister from Mora, the Apostle state, by Yevor Marosa, by the Yochel Yishis Mayim Mimora, by Yer Hashem Eitz, by Yishlich Al Amayim, by Yamtiku Amoy. Hat gesagt, Drush, a Mensch dort Zeiten, was a Mensch, he wants to sit down on Mayim durch Teure, by Yevor Marosa. Und der Mayim, gewinnt Morim, dort Zeiten, was es ist schwer zu lernen, whatever problem, und Seite, es geht nicht so, es geht ihm nicht. The Mayim is more. Was are the Eitzer? By Yer Hashem Eitzer. Boy Hashem said, I give him an Eitzer. I shlichu el amoyim. Wart sich herein in Teure. Wart sich herein in Ganzen. Es vertrönt bei Juntig amoyim. The Pshat is nicht to say, aber the jargon is emes. A wiffel the Mensch legt sich herein. For Teure, ani avaya of the Teure Zoltop. Is Rabbi Yochanan hat gegeben sein ganz alles Ding war auf Avos ha-Teure, Rabbi Yochanan hat solche gewinnt, zu Asamen nach Shove von Teure, hat gewinnt solche zu werden der Rosh Yeshiva. Teure ist ein Metzies. Wenn man kommt zur Dreshu Convention, in der Red für junge Leute, Mamisch, ist gewinnt Asamen in der Heubene Shabbos, mit ein Horror, 1,300 people, kein Yearbus, it was every year the convention. Cool, bei Teure, ich stehe, I look out I look from my room, And you see in the morning, in places kommen da andere conventions. Aber wo man sitzt und man isst, es steht, alle junge Leute sitzen und lernen. Verdammt, ist doch viele Point. The junge Leute from learn for your Dirshu, they have to have a Kabbalah's oil. They have to give zechop for Torah. It's not easy all the time. The pressures that a Dirshu, a young man has for the beginners, what he has to make sure that he learns. Das ani oivaya hov, wir wollen schon mit Obzollen, mit Nesikes ha-Torah. There was what leave the Torah. The Torah it's all up. And I would say something, this came, Raya, but Libi Yoimali. The word was, Rabbi Yisrael Lisa said that Torah has a mahus. Torah pays back. The Sikas HaTorah doesn't come. We heard today from the Yeshiva of Shustel. But there a person doesn't get the Sikas HaTorah. It's nicht der Geschmack gesagt. Torah has to give it to you. And it comes from that Mesiras Nefesh. It's a nish muchrach that it has to come from the Mesiras Nefesh, from the Loimer Alein. Sie so tochen, as it kommt von a Mame, a Weib, that's Moise Nefesh, that a husband shall learn Torah. A mother that's Moise Nefesh for her children's Torah. The kinder and 9 o'clock can get Mesiras Nefesh from them, not Padavka from the Tata. Ani or Avay Yehov. It's been a meister with Moshe Stern was als ein gesunder Stark. He told a shtickle Torah to the Shemina Rav when he was writing Radim Zmanim. And he told him, he liked a piece of Torah. He told him in the middle, he said to him, come on, dein Mama, was tut sie wenn sie ben schlicht? Sie damals, sie weint. Der junge Mann, der Stück Torah ist deine, das ist dein Mamas. Es belangt zu ihr. Ani Ohavai Yehov. Der, was hat mehr lieb. The Freuen quickly can cover auf dem. Them is can under Cheshbon. The muss haben Abbas HaTorah. The light from Dirshu don't get no big covered. They haben lieb Torah. Der was a lieb Torah zahlt doch. Torah bleibt nicht schuldig. Der Bernstein soll geben. Alle Menschen, was lernen Torah von Dirshu. The Menschen, der Askonen, wo da was ein gesund, das Chusen, was du hast. Schaffen zusammen in Moiset, Kodesh in der Welt. Und Menschen, die seinen bekabli Url Teure, der nach Chasuch von der Bernstein, Ani Ohavai Yehov, der Bernstein hat lieb die Menschen, der Bernstein, der Teure hat lieb, der Teure zahlt ab, der Bernstein soll abzahlen, mit Teures, all jeder einer soll solche ein, zu Teures, ich schon mal brochen, was haben lieb Teure, Avas HaTorah, Ani Ohavai Yehov, mit lernen Teure, mit Besikis und Geschmack, Ad Bies Gehört Zedek, bim Heer, bim Amen, Amen.